Leo York is in the midst of writing a love story of sorts. The title, Inhabitants of Boracay. The main characters, the city of Albuquerque itself, the people who live there, and Leo, you too are a main character in the site. Welcome to New Mexico PBS. Great to have you here at the table. I have to congratulate you. Everyone started off thinking, wow, Facebook, great way to communicate. We can talk one-on-one, friends, families, kids, dogs, all that kind of thing. You have decided to do something completely different and profile people here in the city. What was your goal when you started this? What were you trying to get at?
When I first started it, I actually was looking for fashionable people because I was doing some fashion photography and stuff. And then I ran into a guy one day and I was like, I want to take this guy's picture anyways. And he just told me a story, and the idea was like, that's it. Like, nobody's excluded. Every person can be involved. And I have the amount of people that I probably can never photograph them all, so I'll never run out of work.
Sure.
So that was the idea.
What are you up to now in rough numbers? How many folks have you profiled since you started it?
It has to be over, probably between 600 and 1,000, somewhere in there.
Wow. And when did you start the actual site, the page?
In August 23rd,
Interesting.
2012. Yeah.
Interesting. I want to look at your very first photo. That's so interesting for the site. What were you going after there? Who are those people and what's going on there?
Well, I'm not sure I remember their names, but what just happened is that was the day I had the idea, and honestly, we were at a bar just sitting talking about it. We had 2 cameras.
Yeah.
And the guy had this hair, kind of Fabio-esque, and we're like, oh, I bet people love his hair, so we're like, we're gonna get that guy's photo, and we talked to him, and they're like, yeah.
Wow.
And that was the start of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, beyond the pictures, of course, in those 600 to 1,000, you have to, for many of them, you write up a small profile of who these people are. But what I like about what you write is oftentimes it's not about the nuts and bolts of where they went to school, where they grew up, but a lot about their dreams, their visions, their passions, where they want to be in the future. It's interesting to me how many comments you get in reaction to that as well. Did that take you by surprise a little bit, the reaction to Inhabitants of Boracay?
Yeah, I really didn't think it would be something this influential in the city.
Yeah. But
the thing I believe is important to why the site keeps growing is we're all a bit voyeuristic, and we love the details of people's lives, and human interest is the biggest attention grabber. That's why reality TV is huge, and documentary film. So I don't change their story at all. I don't try and be this artistic brilliant writer. I translate what I write down on the paper from what I hear and tell it exactly as I heard it, and just keep it plain, just simple.
Interesting. Let's look at another one. Mike, this guy, how do you choose whose stories to tell? This is an interesting cat. I remember this picture as well. I don't recall his story, but it begs a question. You must come across so many people. There's so many interesting people here. How did you pick Mike, and how do you go through the process of finding people?
I was on one of my photography whims, so I hopped in the car and I was driving down Nob Hill, and he was cleaning up the streets with he had a trash can and just picking up trash and walking down Nob Hill. So I swerved into the Wells Fargo like right away, and I just grabbed my camera and ran out there, and I said, hey, I do this thing, can I tell your story? And he was like, sure, and he was all, I was a boxer and I've been hit in the head too many times and I loved it, and then I worked in healthcare, and then I changed again, and now I'm doing this. Wow. And he had a good story. I mean, usually you wouldn't think the trash guy would be inspirational, but he's just like anybody else.
Good for you. Yeah, that's again the power of what you're trying to do right there. That's an interesting story because it seems clear there's no editorial decision making going on here. You're not saying you have to fit in a certain category of earner, hipster, or whatever. You go after everybody. It's interesting.
Totally. I think everybody's details are fascinating. I'm really a big fan of documentary film, so I watch the ones on the guy that makes wooden spoons for a living all the way up to the person that designs rocket ships. I think it's the same thing. It's all about the process and the intricate details that put everything together. So
good for you. Yeah. Let's look at another one. Bobcat, another interesting cat right there. I like that picture. There's something, his straight on look into the camera. He seems like a guy that has been there and done that, got the T-shirt, wore it out, you know, the whole thing, and just so much personality when he's looking at me through that picture. What's Bobcat's story?
He went to school in Santa Fe and he did everything right, I believe, you know, in his process. But when the market crashed in 2008, he took off, went and I think he went to Arkansas at first and just like fixed somebody's roof. And then from there, another door opened and he rode his bike all over the country and ended up back in Denver, and then he had to come back to New Mexico, so he finally came back, and now he's working for La Placita in the South Valley, which helps, you know, young men get integrated back in the society who have been in prison and stuff like that. So now he's running the screen printing business for those guys, which is really cool, and he's riding his bike everywhere, and he's just giving back to the community.
I think it's great. See, people like that deserve note in this town. These are the happy warriors that change this city. This is why your site excites me. And one of the things that excites me is you have another thing that you do, not just profiling people, but you'll propose a simple question. You'll just propose a simple one-line question. What do you think of X? And it really turns me on how many responses you get sometimes, anywhere from 40 to 50 up to 400 responses sometimes. Give us some examples of things that you've just kind of put out there and the kind of the reaction that shocked you a little bit.
I think I started it because I was trying to see the things in Albuquerque that might need change or, you know, might need a little repair. So I started with things, what should the city spend money on in Albuquerque? What does Albuquerque need? What are the best things in Albuquerque? What are the worst things that you'd like to see change? And then there's questions about, you know, is there a division between the transplants and the native New Mexicans that come here? Because whether you acknowledge it or not, these are things going on in the city, and I see it. I'm more of an observer than I am a socialite, so I don't spend as much time, like, you know, going out there and making all these great friendships all the time, but I really love observing. So I observe the interactions, the body language. So from like my observations and how I feel too about things, I just ask the questions that I think I would like to know the answer to.
Sure.
So,
what are some of the ones that gave you the strongest reaction that surprised you? Do you have an example of a particular question?
Of course, Governor Martinez is always one question that always brings a ton of response.
Wow.
The question, I just asked a simple question that really opened the doors to the whole transplant thing. I said, if you're not from New Mexico, where are you from? And it just, you know, almost 200, but it also started opening the question. And that's when I asked the question about the division, because that question opened up the door to see the division between the natives and you know, the transplants.
Sure. And I have to imagine, as these things go online through blogs we've had here in this town that are still going, some gone, whatever, whenever questions like that come up, it can get pretty heated. And people can get pretty wild. How do you deal with that? I mean, what I mean by that, there can be some unfortunate comments sometimes on these things. How do you deal with that?
My role as administrator of the site, I do try and get rid of some of the comments that are really bad in it, and I do that, and people are like, well, you're censoring it, and it's, you know, it's just, you know, to get rid of that, it's not worth going down that road. But pretty much, you know, 95% of the time, it's an open forum, and I get attacked too, and I've had my own issues with that. But you know, conflict is in our community, but the best way to start resolving it is to start the conversation, because a conversation is always the first step to the resolution. So, okay, get your anger out, you know, be mad for a little while. Okay, now what? And that's how we can start change.
Good for you. So, yeah, absolutely. I want to check out another famous face here. You don't just work with casual people you see down the street. Anyone who watches television knows this man, R.J. Mitt, one of our favorite that's one of our favorite people here in Albuquerque from Breaking Bad. What's the story behind him? How did you meet him? What's the deal there?
Well, I started this Breaking Bad project, and believe it or not, it's a lot harder than I anticipated. And they were filming by my house several times, and so I met like Michael Flowers, the set director. I met this guy Steven, who was a PA on there, and so I kind of was like, well, great, I can do this Breaking Bad story, because Breaking Bad has done for Albuquerque what nothing has ever done in Albuquerque. No political campaign, and people don't give it enough credit, but I traveled Europe, and everywhere I went, the only reason people knew Albuquerque was Breaking Bad. And so I was like, well, this is great. These people have been amazing. So I want to create this time capsule and have this like gift for people to forever see, hey, you knew about the cast, but like now you know about them. You knew where they grew up. You knew what they did. And I don't care about what's going to happen in the finale. I'll wait and watch it like everybody else. But like, you know, with RJ, a friend invited me, and he was at Low Spirits, and he was totally open, and we hung out, and we kind of got on some deeper conversation, which was like really awesome because we have the same background. But it was just like, hey, RJ liked to do this when he was growing up. You know, it's not the Entertainment Weekly interview. It's just like, yeah, his favorite candy bar is Snickers. You know, and those are the kind of things like, oh man, he eats that? Well, you know, 1,000 other people that just saw this eat Snickers too, and then bam, you have that common bond. So it's really cool.
That was a good one. Good for you. Are you loath to do, just curious, are you loath to do famous people? Do you think that it corrupts the site a little bit? Or you want it to keep more regular people? Or is an RJ, you know, perfectly in balance with what you want to do with this?
He lived in New Mexico. He knows the city. He interacts with the people. And yes, he has a bigger status in the city, but who cares? You know, the site's about breaking that. So he's not a famous person on my site. He's RJ. And I don't interview him like a famous person. I ask him the same questions that I would ask the grocery store attendant. You know, he's just RJ on the site, for me at least. And you know, people can think what they want, but you know, they'll see it. They'll see it in the interview.
You know, there's an interesting way to look at what you're doing when you think about it. It's part curation, it's part collection, it's part, what you're basically doing is preservation for the future, like you just mentioned. Was that part of your process going into this, or is that something that's come to you over time that, holy cow, I've got this 600 to 1,000 person thing so far that really tells a snapshot about where Albuquerque is at and its attitudes. 10 years from now could have a lot of value, 20 years from now, 100 years from now. Where do you see fitting in that, in the Albuquerque's historical sweep here?
I happened to graduate from college as a history major, so I definitely, you know, been in the library and studied that aspect. So that is part of my process. I have a hard drive. Not only do I do the people stories, but I find photos all over the internet, photos I take that celebrate Albuquerque in the time. So I keep it all incredibly documented down to the categories, restaurants, you know, signs on Central, everything. And I thought of that too, so I'm building this database of Albuquerque, and it's like a time capsule. And I thought the exact same thing, that in the future it will be like incredibly valuable.
There's no question. There's no question. This is a very interesting thing you're talking about here, because as an armchair history buff, not a major in college, but the value of taking those kinds of detailed notes and things, the value later is just immeasurable for people that come down the road. Let's look at another one. A young man I happen to know, Faustino. Tell us about Faustino. I met him when he was a teenager through the VOCES program at the National Hispanic Cultural Center. Where did you run into him?
Actually, run into him, I got a call from the director of She Dances with Fate, which just premiered, I think, last month sometime at the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. And so they were like, can you come in at Cultural Center, sorry, can you come in and do some interviews? And I was like, wow, this is cool, all these dancers, like I've always been fascinated with dance, not doing it myself, but so I went there and it was kind of like magical for me. So the director introduced me, said, hey, he's just gonna be roaming around doing interviews, and Faustino was like, hey, I have to leave, but could you do my interview? And he was totally excited and like, yeah, you know, like, I'm just really stoked. I actually messaged you and like I wanted you to come to this and blah blah. So he's just like, I had a good story, you know, he was in this way of life that wasn't really meeting his vision for himself and was considered bad in societal terms. And he just said, you know, I just started doing what I knew how to do and trying to be better in the community. And now he's at 505 teaching murals, doing you know, legal graffiti. He's an MC, you know, and he's just and
a killer poet.
Yeah, and a poet too, slam poet.
Yeah, he's quite something.
Really cool guy.
He's,
and that's
very
inspirational.
Talented. Now, were you grabbed by him immediately? Because he's a fairly arresting young man. When he hones in on you, you're not going to get out of his tractor beam, so to speak.
Yeah.
So were you just kind of caught by him, and you just said, "Well, I got to do Faustino, man. He's great."
Yeah, I really didn't have a choice.
Right.
It was Faustino wanted me to do him, and I had to do him.
Right.
You know, so.
He's something.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Cool
I've just got to finish up with this and ask again that, you know, it just seems like the most simple project. I'm going to put up a Facebook page, call it Inhabitants of Albuquerque, profile some inhabitants of Albuquerque, and just see where it goes. Are you shocked at where it's gone? Are you surprised at yourself and where you've taken this thing?
It is definitely a shocker. It is definitely a life changer, you know, with the success, you know, you have the high times and the low times, and I have definitely struggled with it. And now my every move, you know, thousands of people are watching my life because I'm in that page, and you'll see it. You'll see the high times and the low times, and you know, in the quotes and the pictures, you know, in the posts, and now it's reaching every month between 1 million to 1.6 million people, which is, you know, 3 times the population. So it's running through the city like 3 times a month, being interacted with. So, you know, I have 1 million people or interactions in my life, and so it's like, whoa, that's tough. But I think I've come to a good place with it, and it's awesome because now, you know, with the low times of being in the public eye, I also have access to these amazing worlds from, you know, the backyard kitchens in the South Valley to, you know, the corporate offices on the top floors of all the skyscrapers on the back of your set. So it's really cool.
Leo, good for you. I got to say, you really established your place in Albuquerque. You've established your place in Albuquerque lore, and I think you've established it in Albuquerque future. And I really can't thank you enough for taking time to come out, Leo York, Inhabitants of Albuquerque. Come back and see us again, would you?
All right, I would love to.
Good deal. Glad to have you.
Appreciate it.